Alright, hello. I don't have a good way to set up my camera, so I'm just going to sit down here at the table and we'll have a chit chat. So, let's get the haircut out of the way. Normally, during the winter time, from about October, November until March 1st, I'll let my hair and beard grow out for winter. But being as that my son's in the hospital and my wife's having a hard time, I figured I'd give her a treat and go ahead and get my summer haircut early. Plus, it's our anniversary here pretty soon, so I went ahead and took care of that. So that's why my hair is cut the way it is. Not that that matters, especially in the grand scheme of things, of everything going on in the world. Today's day 25, and since my son's liver transplant. And good news, his liver labs are all looking good and normal. His kidneys are still struggling, but they're coming back. They're on the right trajectory. At this point, he still requires dialysis, but as the days go by, it seems that his kidneys are taking on more and more function, and so it's possible that he might not have to do that much longer. So we're very hopeful and optimistic. The doctors are talking about discharging us from the hospital, if not this weekend, then Monday or Tuesday. And then when he's discharged from the hospital, because we live 3 hours away, they're not going to send us home. They're going to let him come with us to the Ronald McDonald House, which is about 6 blocks away from the hospital. And he'll stay with us in the hotel for probably at least a week to monitor his blood levels and make sure that he's okay, and to get any dialysis treatments he might need. He got his staples taken out yesterday, so yesterday evening. So that was huge. And then after he got those staples taken out, then he was walking up a storm. So I mean, he's still very tired after he gets done with his walks. He's still nauseous. He's still shaky. His mood still goes up and down. He's a little touchy and irritable, which, you know, he doesn't feel good. So all this is understandable. Mom and I are kind of the same way. We're a little bit worn out. I mean, you know, 4 weeks ago he was a normal kid. Nothing was wrong, and we were working we were on Christmas vacation. New Year's Day is when this happened. I was getting ready to go back to work the next day, and all of a sudden everything kind of went bonkers. So, and yeah, it's a miracle everything worked out the way it did. We're very blessed, but it's a roller coaster, definitely, for sure. I'm very pleased with how much care we've gotten and how much support we've gotten. I did lose my temper a little bit yesterday with my insurance company, who promised me that my travel, food, and lodging would be covered. But then they suddenly came back and said, well, we're not gonna compensate you for your travel to the dialysis treatments because it's got nothing to do with your liver transplant. I was like, what are you talking about? So they're saying that because it's for dialysis, they're not going to cover the transportation because it's not part of the liver transplant. But yet the dialysis is considered part of the liver transplant because his kidneys shut down because his liver shut down, and they're trying to say, well, that's a separate issue. And I'm like, that just makes no sense to me whatsoever. So I got a little hot under the collar. I didn't cuss or anything, but I didn't want to talk to her anymore. I just got fed up after arguing with her for about, 30 seconds or a minute. I just thought, this is really stupid. So I told her to go ahead and submit it, regardless of whether it's accepted or not, and we'll cross that bridge when it comes. But yeah, it's just a principle thing. If you're covering the dialysis because it's related to the liver transplant, then how can you possibly say that you're not going to cover the transportation to the dialysis because it's not part of the liver transplant? That makes no sense. And then if you try to go so far as to say that the dialysis is not going to be covered, well, that's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we're covered under the insurance. And the whole thing was part of the liver transplant anyway. And even if it wasn't, I'm still covered by the insurance. So it doesn't make, none of this makes any sense to me, why you'd even bother to make that kind of a adjustment right in the middle of it after you told me that it would be covered. So this is a frustrating thing. Basic conflict management, in case some of you haven't had conflict management. To avoid conflict, you communicate clearly what you are going to do and what your expectations are, both for yourself and the other party. And so in this situation, I was told that the transportation would be covered to and from as long as my son was in the vehicle and it was for his appointment. They would cover it. If it was just my wife or myself or family or whatever, and he wasn't there and we were going to see him at the hospital, not covered. I get that, that's fair. But if he's in the car and we're going to get treatment or on a train or a taxi or whatever, then it should be covered. That's what I was told. And then I get told something completely different. Of course, I'm going to be upset because that's not what I was expecting. So this is basic conflict management. If you're in sales, huge mistake, especially in an emotional situation like this. You're not doing your company any favors, saving a few bucks after making a huge promise like that. So, having said that, let me back up about 10 steps. I felt horrible for losing my temper. And I'll tell you why. The bills are outrageous. They're astronomical, which is ridiculous in a whole nother video I won't even get into. But astronomical bills. Insurance covers it. That's great. Why would I complain about 50 or 100 bucks worth of travel costs? Yeah, they promised it to me. Yeah, by the principle of it's ridiculous, granted. But why? Why would I get upset about that? I don't know. I wasn't thinking of it that way. I was thinking you told me one thing and you changed your story, and then you gave me a ridiculous argument that didn't make any sense, and it's a very emotional issue, so I kind of lost my cool. It's not a justification for myself. I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't guarding my heart. I wasn't thinking things through. I reacted. I'm human. So I called back and apologized, but I still want those bills submitted. But buyer beware with these insurance companies, because this is not the first time this sort of things happen. So you need to be aware of that if you have any of these problems, no matter what your situation is. So that being said, the chicken coop that burnt down, the insurance company is a separate insurance company for that. They did me a solid. They totaled the whole barn. They're totally replacing it. They gave me enough money to totally build a brand new barn. I'm very pleased and grateful for that. I mean, we pay for it, but that's what insurance companies are for. So I'm very pleased and grateful for that. And we have friends that have their own businesses on the side that are cleaning it up for me, and we'll get that taken care of. So glory to God for all things. We're very blessed, and I have no reason to complain. Very grateful. My son's still got a long way to go, but he's showing improvement, and yeah, I'm very grateful. All of this, if nothing else, has taught me to stay focused on what's important in life, and to remember that this life is temporary. Staying at the Ronald McDonald House, we see that there are a lot of families that are worse off than we are and are really struggling. It's painful to watch. It's humbling. It's very humbling. And at the same time, in the midst of all the suffering and tragedy, there's a lot of beautiful things that have happened. So there's a lot to be grateful for. So all this is going on while the country is, our leadership are acting crazy, the border crisis, Texas and the federal government. The federal government's obviously not following the Constitution, and that's disturbing. It's totally unnecessary for this thing to be spiraling out of control like this. I'm really disappointed. I don't know what to say about that. Say your prayers. Pray for me, a sinner. God bless. Over and out.